To avoid condemning myself in previous leaks, I've been saying that you could potentially lose your loadout if you die before extracting in the DMZ. But as of this new leak that just came out, there's no question. We now know what's gonna happen when you don't exfil in the DMZ. As always, I'm Player2, YouTube's main source for daily news and leaks of the DMZ. So if, like me, this mode is gonna be your main focus out of Modern Warfare 2, consider subscribing to stay in the know. Now, Ghost of Saba, the prominent replacement for Twitter Call of Duty leaker Ghost of just leaked an in-game menu prompt from the DMZ, and it carries a lot of weight for fans of the extraction looter shooter genre, like me, that are worried that the DMZ is a Call of Duty title, so it's likely it's going to cater more to the casuals. But this shows that Infinity Ward does want to give us a hardcore experience. DMZ, choose where your squad will infill in the DMZ, only bring in what you need. When you die in the DMZ, you lose all gear and loot, complete missions, and get to the chopper to secure your haul. Now, there's some pretty important ramifications from this prompt. From a recent leak of BK Tour that shows us there's going to be location select for Al Bagra Fortress, Al Safwa, Rohan Oil, and Zargwa Electric. Originally, I considered that this could potentially mean there will be separate maps, split up between the massive Al Mazrah map, kind of like Escape from Tarkov does with Tarkov. But from this prompt leaked by Saba, I feel like it's leaning more towards one main map on Al Mazrah that's labeled as the DMZ, and that the team leader chooses whether to infill from the fortress, Al Safwa, Rohan Oil, and Zargwa Electric. We don't know exactly where Al Safwa is, but I've had many of you guys in the comments point out to me that the quarry is actually owned by Al Safwa, so that's likely where this final spawn point is gonna be, making all spawns for the DMZ here, 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 and here, which with this visual makes it more likely to be true. It kind of goes through the center of the map, making sure that you have equal opportunity to go either way to get your missions done or hit the loot spots. My two takeaways from this are that this means the best loot will be locations like the port, Said City, and of course Al Mazrah City, as these are a distance away from the main spawns, giving the DMZ more balance, as you have to travel further to reach them, especially Al Mazrah City. Being the most populated area on the map, I would assume that it's going to have an AI stronghold, maybe many locked rooms, and be crawling with enemies. But here's the second takeaway. The easiest way to get there will likely be from the hydroelectric spawn, especially if there's boats. You can just snake your way upriver to get there quickly and steer clear of ground contacts. But you can also travel downriver to Said City and the port, once again, if there's boats there. This makes hydroelectric the most dynamic spawn on the map, which won't take long for everybody to figure out, especially with YouTubers like me that are going to make guides on it. That's going to make it the most contested spawn on the map. If all major water-based POIs have boats, I'd say a much safer bet is probably going to be to spawn at the fortress. Grab a boat and plan a route that goes on the outskirts of the airport and up through the smallest river and go north from there. These kinds of things will be something you're going to have to take into account in the DMZ. It's not like Warzone. And the second part of Saba's leaked menu prompt finally confirms the biggest difference between the two modes. Only bring what you need. When you die in the DMZ, you lose all gear and loot, which means your weapons, your throwables, your kill streak if you have one equipped, and any loot that you put in your backpack during the raid will be gone. This is a big deal and gives us some new insight into the DMZ. Up until this point, we didn't know exactly what happens when you die in the DMZ, which was a pretty big worry. As a fan of extraction looter shooter games, one of the major factors that makes them work so well is the fear of gear loss. In Warzone, when you die, nothing happens. You may lose your gigantic ego the size of Nadia's forehead, but that's it.
Let's go, baby!
I'm sorry, Nadia. I'm just joking. You're gorgeous. My girl loves your hacks. But this allows for the type of gameplay that most of the people watching this video don't enjoy. The crazy run and gun crackhead style with little to no thought of self-preservation. Like, just go balls out. If you die, all you have to do is load into a new match. In extraction looter shooters like Tarkov, the Psycho Frontier, Marauders, or Hunt Showdown, it's not that simple. Anything that you take in with you, your weapons, throwables, your meds, whatever is in your loadout is at risk. every time you drop into a match. If you die or don't make it to your exfil locations, you lose all of it. You could have spent hours or even days putting together a weapon with rare attachments, paid good money with in-game currency at the in-game shop for the best lethal and tacticals, and maybe you found a kill streak in a locked area that you've never had in the DMZ before, all to have that taken away from you if you die. This causes every type of gamer to play more cautiously. For the first time, Call of Duty players will have to actively decide when you see a player or a squad whether they're worth engaging or not. Sometimes it's best
just to let him pass. You can make quietly or just let him pass.
In the DMZ, there's not gonna be a winner, like a player who was able to kill their way to the top and maybe be the last team standing. If it works like other extraction-based shooters, your first and foremost objective once you spawn in is to just make it to your exfil location without dying. Most of these games, every player doesn't spawn in at the same time. The server is practically always open. So players are gonna be coming and going consistently, completing their own missions and their own objectives, and trying to survive and make it to the exfil. Now add in that you can lose everything you have on you. With the fairly low TTK of Modern Warfare 2, this mode is really starting to come together as a hardcore experience. At least as hard as it can be for Call of Duty. The final part of Saba's leak says loot, complete missions, and get to the chopper to secure your haul.
Get to the chopper!
I couldn't resist. So this does confirm that similar to the evac ship in the extraction looter shooter Cycle Frontier, you will have to call in your exfil, which corroborates with another leak from one of the more reliable sources, the Ghost of Hope. In his tweet it says, in DMZ, exfil locations are marked on the map. You need to shoot out a flare for extraction, wait for the chopper to arrive, then there's a timer for the chopper to depart. You either live and extract what you have, or risk dying to people who see the flare and know that you're extracting.
Get to the chopper!
Last time, I swear. This creates a whole other level of intensity, just as it does in the Cycle Frontier. Unlike Tarkov, extracting is loud, and other players know that if you're leaving, it's likely that you have a backpack full of loot, causing some of them to pursue you, to steal what you have as you're trying to get out. My hope is that these exfil choppers land in locations that strategically benefit a defensive position, giving the player that called it in a good chance to defend their loot. Now, when it comes to loot in the DMZ, we just got another leak yesterday giving us a big first look into some of what we might find and who might drop them. Check it out. You gotta click it. You gotta press the, you gotta click the thing. If you don't click the thing, I can't go. I can't leave until you click the thing. You just click it, man.